such a mess. Just showing like this terrible, dirty room to the world. I guess it's not that bad, or at least the parts that you can see over the camera are not that bad. Yes, there is a little bit of a laundry pile behind me. It's what I call not dirty or clean clothes. I could rewear them like maybe 1 or 2 times, depending on what type of clothing item and how many times I've worn it before. I don't feel like putting it in the hamper because it's not properly dirty. I could rewear it. I don't feel like putting it in with my clean clothes because, I don't know, those are my clean clothes. Yeah, system. I'm not saying it's a good system, but it is a system. Anyways, so I'm making a game. It's called The God Killer. It requires a lot of interactive dialogue in it because it's got some story to tell. And I have a rule that I hate cutscenes. I like all the dialogue to be inside of the game while you're playing. So that means some resourcefulness with interactive dialogue. So I'm going to use this session today to write interactive dialogue. I won't be in the game engine at all. I'll just be in a document, and there's a few problems for me to solve that I'm going to solve purely with writing and kind of thinking out like what the game experience will be. My new computer, my brand new computer that I love so much, I say that to remind myself that I don't really love it. It's just a fucking machine. My beloved brand new iMac, it went total black screen on me. It has no evidence of any power getting to it. I suspect the power supply was defective. You could say like it went out after a lot of use, but it was less than a month I had it. So I went to the Apple store yesterday, and they said, "Do you have an appointment?" And I said, "No, I just want to drop off the machine you sold me, which is broken and doesn't work, and you can fix it." And they're like, "Sir, we can. This is doing you a favor, but we could get you in to talk to a genius in 45 minutes." And I said, "I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want you to fix the computer. It's obviously broken. There's like, you sold it to me 3 weeks ago, and it has a very clear problem with it, which I've just described to you. Just fix it. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to have a beneficial relationship with anyone. I don't want to kind of go over my problems with them. I just want you to fix the thing you sold me, which doesn't work." And they said, "Sir, we want you to talk to our genius, and we want to run some diagnostics with you and talk about the problem." And it was kind of a bad day. I swore at a millennial. I owe somebody an apology. But if I went back to try to figure out which person it was that I'd swore at to give him an apology, it would be impossible, because there's just like a swarm of these people all dressed the same, and they're all just kind of hanging out chill like it's a party, even though you got shit to do. You know, you're just supposed to be real cool about it. You go in, you talk to somebody, and they're like, "Yeah, sure, like your problem, maybe you want to talk to the other person over there. There's no lines, we're too cool to have lines. There's no desks devoted to certain functions like a service desk. No. It's more like, we're all chill here, we're just kind of hanging out." And I'm like, fucking fix my machine. Tell me where the line is to stand in for getting my machine dropped off for you to fix it. They're like, "Oh, well, you want to talk to, like, I don't know, maybe that person over there." And I lined up behind one other person to talk to this other person, and I could just sense her resentment that I had formed a line in the Apple store, the place where there were no lines, that I didn't understand the system, that I wasn't using it the right way. What they really wanted me to do was just kind of hang out with them for a while and kind of suck up all they had to offer, and maybe think about, you know, how I could change my lifestyle a little bit to be more Apple-y. And I made it very clear that there was a line which breaks the rule of the Apple Store. There was one woman who was talking to the person I needed to talk to that had been identified to me by the other Apple Store employee, and I just stood 2 feet behind her like a dick, kind of insisting this was a line. There is a line at the Apple Store. You need to know that the Apple Store does have lines, even though you choose to hide them. And you've actually made it more confusing by not just simply having a desk with a sign above it that says service, where people line up. You're trying to pretend you're too cool for lines, and it doesn't work. But let me flip it though. Let me flip it though, because I know that the grumpy man has got. And by the way, I'm almost done with this little rant. I just got to get it off my chest. I'm almost done with it. I realize I'm supposed to be talking about game stuff. Okay, almost done with it. Flip it around. Here's if I kind of strain my head a little bit to try to see the Apple way. Here is the good side of their system. You bring in your broken hardware, and you will get a diagnosis before they set about to actually fix it. And it may be that it's possible that you're kind of a dummy, and you didn't try something kind of simple. There's got to be a lot of not dummies, but people who they're not IT people, they're not computer oriented. They might miss something like if they turn their computer off and turn it back on again, that'll resolve it. Or there's some dust on a vent that's, if they just dust it off, it makes it so that some sensor someplace is going to work, you know, stuff like that. Or they might not notice that, oh look, their cable's frayed. Their cable has got some obvious wear in it. It's probably shorting. Huh, maybe you need a new cable, stuff like that, right? So that initial session could kind of quickly resolve a lot of problems. And the other thing is, they will tell you kind of what you're into. So it's like if you went to get your car fixed, or even like a kind of a traditional drop-off service desk, they don't start work on it until they've done some initial diagnosis, and then they call you back and say, here's the deal. We're going to have to do this, this, and this. And you go, wait, no. I'm not going to replace the whole logic board because this computer is only worth $400. You know, you have a chance to kind of guide that process, but you usually have to wait for them to do their diagnosis. In the Apple system, at least, you will have a chance to kind of set the course for the repair, or maybe even just walk out with it already repaired without the need for an extra trip. So for that, I have to give them some credit. It just made me livid that there wasn't some kind of drop-off option on a day where I was extremely busy and had rented a car to go out to them and had various challenges to get to them. So I had to take the whole thing back, and I set up another appointment with them. I didn't set up an appointment the first time. I had to set up my first appointment with them Thursday, and then they'll take a while for them to repair it. So over the next few weeks, I expect I'll be doing a lot of work that isn't in Unity, because I have my environment all set up on the other iMac, and I kind of don't want to bring it back to the first iMac, which was having problems. So there'll be some other tasks I'll work on, which are like art, writing, music, stuff like that. So today, and now briefly, because I don't have two monitors now, it's going to do you'll see it. It's going to do that, and then I'll switch to my actual proper work screen. And I think, and I can't see now if I fixed it, but I just assume I have. With logic, I assume that the screen is now showing something that makes a little more sense. And I have to kind of guess where. Yeah, it's my streaming setup is a little bit screwed up right now. Okay, I do know how I can check. I'll go to here. I have Twitch dashboard. It's showing me like a little preview. Okay, that should do it. That should do it. Okay, so I'm writing interactive dialogue for here, let me also get a chat window off to the right, so if somebody does happen to chat me, I'll be able to see it. It's always a sad thing when I miss somebody that chatted me. They're trying to reach out across the internet to me, and I'm just like oblivious to them. So let me I got my chat window now. Okay, so there are a series of levels. They're like anti-tutorials, and I don't know, I think it's a pretty good joke, but I've had many tutorials in games where I'm just like, just let me play, just let me play. I know you're trying to guide me carefully through the things I have to do, but just let me play the game. I already understand what you're trying to tell me. And then there's like little things it'll tell you to do, like make sure you move this box over to here, or kill 3 enemies, or you know. So this is going to be like a caricature of the worst of those tutorials. Billy is going to give the information too slowly, and the player can just simply ignore Billy and just solve the puzzle in each room, and he'll protest and be bothered by it. So it starts off in this level that I created on a previous session, which people have seen if they watched the last few episodes. God and Billy are a distance away from M. Let me write that down. I'm going to get much more quiet on the stream pretty soon, and I will kind of let my typing do my talking. Do some reading out loud because it helps me kind of check the dialogue. Teacher Billy. Well, teacher about blocks. There's a lot to know about blocks. It's okay, Billy. I don't know if I can. It's okay, Billy. It's okay. Teach him about blocks. Sure. Blocks, Billy. Oh. Okay, God, I will try. Billy. Billy? Yes? Yes. Teacher, you must teach her. Of course, no problem. You know about blocks, Billy. Billy, you know about blocks. About blocks, Billy. I definitely do. Billy, you know. I do. Good. Play with it a little bit more. I won't go strictly by the lines. Teacher Billy. Billy, yes, teach her about blocks, Billy. Well, there's a lot to know about blocks. It's okay, Billy. It's okay. I just don't know if I can. It's okay, Billy. There's so much to know about blocks. There's so much to teach about. No. It starts with. There's a lot to know about blocks versus. There's so much to know about blocks. So if I say, but there's so much to know about blocks. So he'll be clear that he's making a small objection here. So, but there's so much to know about blocks. It's okay, Billy. I don't know if I can. It's okay, Billy. It's okay. Teach him about blocks. Sure. Sure. Blocks, Billy. Okay. Oh, okay, God. I will try. Okay. So I... So I have this balance to strike here. So I want God to have another chance here to do his babble pattern or his babble cadence. The babble cadence is that he repeats things a lot, and he repeats them and just reorders the words. Whenever he wants someone to do something, or he wants to persuade them, he just has this sort of brute force way of just kind of repeating again and again what he wants. At the same time, I need to make it so that so I want this text to be a little bit like we'll call it an accordion. I want to be stretchy. So window, interaction window. That's what I'll call it. So there's going to be a minimum time that it takes M to get to the end of the level location where God and Billy are, and I want that conversation to be concluded by the time she gets there. But it's kind of nice if the player takes longer to figure out how to get to the top, if the conversation goes on a little bit longer. So thinking the interaction window. And I'm just kind of going by memory. I think the fastest that M could get there, I wish I had my other computer here because I would just try it. But I'm just kind of playing it back in my head. Actually, you know what? I do have an older recording of it. I might just play that older recording, which had me testing that out. So if I go to Twitch, okay, let me see. It's a weird thing to be restreaming myself. No, I need to be further along. Let's see. I got over to here. I know I did some tests on this. So find one where it's in the player. Okay, that's in the player. A little bit. And I think I'm double heading right now. So you've got the old me up over here, and then the current me is down here. strange thing. I'm referencing the old version of myself and what he was doing to figure out what the current version of myself should be doing. I guess this is a small advantage of recording so much of what you do. I don't know. Come on. So some of these I can just kind of see the level. I can see how long it would take. So if I was down here and go doot, 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 doot. No, I would fling, doot, walk a little bit, doot, 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 doot. Go down there. Come up here. Okay, I need a timer at the same time. I'll just use my phone. Duh. Okay, cool. Stopwatch. Here we go. Start. Fling. This is ridiculous. Oh, there'd have to be flings there. Doot. Doot. I could make an anti-fling there. Okay. From here, though, you're flinging. Fling. Doot. 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 Okay. So that was 30 seconds. That's what I'm going to go with the minimum time. So, going back to this guy here. By the way, if anyone's worried about spoilers, my rule is, I've been saying first 5 minutes of the game. Let's say first 10 minutes of the game. Some of these things are going to take longer. So, interaction window, 30 seconds. To more typical time. It could go much longer, but more typical would be 1 minute. So I don't want to plan out dialogue for the very worst case, which is someone just sitting there without moving the character at all and just letting it sit there while they go eat lunch or something. But if someone's kind of going through not too fast, 1 minute. For player moving from level start to platform. So then I'm looking down here and I'm thinking like, what? Well, okay. First off, how long is this dialogue taking now? Let me time it. Reset. Teacher Billy. What? Well, teacher about blocks. But there's so much to know about blocks. It's okay, Billy. I don't know if I can. It's okay, Billy. It's okay. Teach him about blocks. Sir, blocks, Billy. Okay, God, I will try. Billy. Yes. Teacher, you must teach her. Of course, no problem. You know about the blocks, Billy. I definitely do. Billy, you know. I do. Good. What do you know? That is 43 seconds. So it's over. So I want this to be interruptible. So I can... can do some things, okay? This is what I mean about the accordion. There's certain sections in here where if the player was progressing pretty fast, I could skip through them. That's one I could skip. Skippable. Some back down. Okay, so there are some things that I need to accomplish with this. The basic thing is God wants Billy to teach M about blocks. Well, let me be clear about that. Teach M about blocks, and then that establishes we're not talking about somebody else. I'm trying, unlike say a movie, I'm trying to be fairly clear about what's going on, because a player, a lot of times they're busy doing whatever they're doing, so it's good to be clear. They're a little bit distracted. And I made God really, really simple. There was another version of God that I started out with who had all kinds of clever things to say about the universe, and I just realized it's so not fitting what the player wants to hear when they start the game. They don't want exposition. It kind of doesn't, the world isn't that interesting to them yet. Now later on, after the player has some kind of investment, they might want to hear some character go on about the nature of this universe and how it works. To start, I just made God like bluntly simple. Okay, so I need God to establish he wants Billy to teach him about blocks. I want it also to be known that Billy's reluctant to, but he's also kind of proud. So this is good. So I'm gonna read through this again with the stopwatch, without the skippable section. See if I'm under 30 seconds. Teacher Billy. Well, teach M about blocks, but there's so much to know about blocks. It's okay, Billy. I don't know if I can. It's okay, Billy. It's okay. Teach M about blocks. Sure. Blocks, Billy. Okay, God, I will try. You know about blocks, Billy. I definitely do. But you, Billy, you know. I do. Good. That was 34 seconds. That's in the right range. So, worst case, if I put this dialogue in, and I find that M really can get there in like 27 seconds or something like that, I can take a few more lines out or make them skippable, or I can add like an extra twist to the level that slows the player down a little bit. So this is in the right range. Okay. God floats away at end of dialogue. Let's see. Two things happen. End of dialogue. God floats away. Billy waits for him to reach platform. Okay, I know Google wants me to add the. Sometimes like you don't want to write like proper long dialogue. I mean proper long English grammar. At end of dialogue, that's fine. I don't have to write at the end of the dialogue. I don't have to do that. Come on. M. So you'll teach me about blocks. Okay. So this is an opportunity to show M is she's a contrast to the grimness and the meanness and the stupidity. She's just nice. It has its own humor because people will be crappy to her and she'll really try to be nice. Just wondering if I can have Billy say anything else besides "I'll try." So I want this line to communicate that he's kind of a jerk, but I don't want to be too over the top. I don't want a complicated line. It has to be short though, that's the thing, because the actions taken after this is Billy leaves. So if I have a lengthy thing here, it's possible for the player to leave before Billy, and that'll kind of ruin it. About we're going to learn about blocks. Oh wait, no, I'm going to learn about blocks. Snares. We could say that's optimistic and keep it short. Alternatives. So I have another thing where I'm trying to figure out how smart I want Billy to be. I think I want him to be, character-wise, like really cowardly and petty and bitter, but as far as his capabilities, he should sort of be dull but competent. So the next section that I wrote, it's got a lot of jokes that are based on him being a complete idiot. But there's things he has to do later that require him to have a certain proficiency. There you go. That's optimistic. Could go. At least I will teach you about blocks. That's too long. It's too long. I want it to be short. Let's just keep it down to that. Or I could say maybe it's like a little less clever version of the line. Okay. I think I like it. I think it's going to be good. Alright. So then I move on to the first training room. And I'll show you like the dialogue, which is, it's a little too much. Like it's making Billy too stupid. And I have a problem, I need to rewrite it. I also have interactivity problems to figure out. Okay, so the next room, Billy's what I call perched. It's kind of like a standard setup that I'll use in different levels where the character is just in a spot that's close to all the things that the player will have to do, but is not interacting with them or not moving around with them. No, I mean, they are interacting with them, but they're not moving with them. They're like in a spot where they can just be stationary and kind of say things while the player goes about their business. So Billy's perched. Alright, read through this. We will begin with the 4 directions. The 4 directions are north, south, east, and west. West is opposite of east. East is opposite of west. North is opposite of east. I mean south. South is mysterious. Nobody understands it. How is it mysterious? Nobody understands it. It's just another direction. But what is it opposite of? North. It's a good thing there's only 4 directions because it's already very complicated. So here is my challenge for you. Yes? What is my favorite direction? East. Nope. West? No. North? You'll never guess. South? That's right. Okay, so can I push the blocks? Not until you understand the directions. I do. There is paper and pencil over there. Practice writing down the 4 directions. Yeah, okay. So I made him a little too stupid. Like, it might have been like a kind of entertaining dialogue to hear, but later on he's got to like do some things that require him to be more competent, as I was saying. That's one problem I have. I can fix that. That's not that hard. The other problem is the interactivity. So let me think through the interactivity. There is a work area. It takes a little time to get down to the player. It has a clear entryway to check against. inside the work area is a solvable puzzle that the player could just look at and immediately see what needs to happen. Okay, so thinking about events. Someone just texted me. I'm gonna check the text here. Sorry, I'm coming back this one. Okay. 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 So, just thinking about the interactivity here. Let me think of this in terms of areas. If you're writing a normal script, you mainly just care about the characters, but here the areas are very important. So areas, conversation area, work area, study area. It's kind of lame to put area after each thing. That's fine. I'll call it study, I guess. Study. Study area, exit. Okay. In my interactive scripting, the areas, I as much as possible, I try to make like the things that happen be tied to moving into certain areas. It's an easy way to think about how the conversation should go. Okay. So while M is in conversation area. And then if M walks goes to work area before above is before conversation area. Before above is finished. Okay, Billy is like stay away from the blocks. You aren't ready, and I need some variations. Play one of the variations, or cycle through. Don't go there yet. Don't go down there yet. Be short. So short dialogue saves the day for interactivity. Wait, you aren't ready for the blocks. Wait, but I need to be very clear here in a short amount of time. So let's see. Stay up here until I've finished. Okay. So the first one that gets spoken, if the player goes, it's just very clear and short. Because if I have like a kind of a long thing, by that time the player will have like moved all the way down and started moving the blocks around. So it needs to be brief. Okay. Billy. Okay. Now I can say you aren't ready to push blocks. Wait, you aren't ready to push blocks. Don't go down there yet. I can be a little bit longer here because the player has already heard the basic message a few times. This is very important. Let's see. I'm trying to train you. I must train you first. Okay. So 3's good. So I have another problem with this dialogue. It's too long. So like I want the player to give up on Billy at some point. But if I'm gonna have like a bunch of dialogue, and there's someone that is into dialogue and likes story, or at least they're like a completionist, they feel like if there is dialogue, they want to get it. If I make it hard for them to just kind of stay there and listen to the whole thing, it's kind of like I'm holding them hostage. I think we've all been in games where you go up to some NPC and you are a story person. You are somebody. You're the type of player who, or at least for the game you're playing, you want to get the story. But then you go to some NPC and the NPC is just regaling you with just so much, and you're like, can you be done? Can you be done? Can you be done? And if I abuse this thing with dialogue that's too lengthy, something will snap with the player and they'll be like, I'm not in it for the dialogue anymore. Screw the dialogue. I'm just playing the game. I'm done with the dialogue. So I need to make it clear that the player can continue without listening to this dialogue, which will go on forever. And I think I have a device to do it. I can make it obvious that it's repeating, or I can just make it shorter. So two ways. Let me try the first way. So right now I have at the end Billy not allowing M to go yet to the work area, although the player can ignore that and go, but he doesn't have her permission, and he says, go do some homework, and maybe you'll be ready after that. So that's one way to end it. That's not bad, but I don't think I can quite get across the laboriousness of Billy yet that way. So the other method I'm thinking is I can have a repeating section. I'm going to try that. If once you notice it's repeating, then you'll know you have permission to ignore it. Oh, I got hiccups. Good time to be quiet. Alright, so I may need to let us begin your training and establish what's going on. Yeah. Great. Four directions. North. Oops. North, south, east, west. Can't make this too long, so I've got little jokes like he stumbles on remembering the last of the four. That also I need to cut out because he's supposed to be competent. Dull but competent. I have to take out sort of silly stuff like South is mysterious. Nobody understands it. And then him kind of musing on his favorite direction. That's just not consistent with the character I want. But he should be dull, tedious. And M will just kind of be eager and just a little bit impatient, but she's still in a good mood. Makes sense. Okay, and let's see, this is the repeating block. Repeating section. Alright, so let me try this again. So it's, I don't know if it's working yet. this section here I know is garbage. I'm going to delete that. I don't know if I've accomplished the goal of making it not irritating to like sort of the completionist player who wants to listen to all the dialogue but is kind of stuck. So I'm going to turn the stopwatch on. And it could be, I could put I could put some things in the level that that make it a little more interesting to kind of wait around. You can go in some different areas while he's talking, but just not down to the work area. I could do that, but let me try this with the stopwatch to see where I'm at. Let us begin your training. Great! There are 4 directions: north, south, east, west. You'll use all of these directions when you push blocks. It makes sense. To push a block north, you must stand on the south side of the block. Right. To push a block south, you must stand on the north side of the block. To push a block west, you must stand on the east side of the block. To push a block east, you're west of it. Please don't interrupt. To push a block east, you must stand on the west side of the block. Great, got it? Repetition is the key to learning. It is? Let's go over it again. To push a block north, you must stand on the south side of the block. To push a block south, you must stand on the north side of the block. To push a block west, you must stand on the east side of the block. To push a block east, you must stand on the west side of the block. Yeah, that's actually very intuitive. We don't use intuition with blocks. We plan and practice and commit facts to memory. Let's go over it again. To push a block north, you must, at that point, the player, I think they have a clear message to go. So that took 1 minute and 40 seconds. That's a long time in game time. So a few things help here. At least the player, the main character M, is expressing the impatience that the player would have. So that alleviates a little bit, I think. Also, I think it's quite possible that the player would let themselves off the hook for listening to dialogue when they got to the first point. Let's go over it again. To push a block north, because that repeats a line that was said earlier. So let me do a stopwatch to get just to the first area. Let us begin your training. Great. There are 4 directions: north, south, east, west. You'll use all of these directions when you push blocks. That makes sense. To push a block north, you must stand on the south side of the block. Right. To push a block south, you must stand on the north side of the block. To push a block west, you must stand on the east side of the block. To push a block east, So to push a block east, you're west of it. Please don't interrupt. To push a block east, you must stand on the west side of the block. Great, got it? Repetition is the key to learning. It is? Let's go over it again. Okay, that's 48 seconds. So, he needs to be tedious, but I need to let the player off the hook pretty quickly. That they don't have to listen to him. I'm just wondering if I can find a way to let them off the hook a little bit faster. "48 seconds. The better part of a minute. That's a long time. So I don't have to have him list out the 4 directions. Although the stupid simplicity of it is kind of fun. Darky Deep, what's going on? Okay. Truncate this a little bit. This is all just to get the player to a point fast. Wait, what? Why is your life frozen? The IRS put a lien on your savings account? Or it could be literally frozen. Studying for school, tests. At this dialogue, and I'm trying to shorten it a little bit. Which city are you in? I might have asked you this before. I apologize. It's hard for me to kind of keep track. Sweden. Ah, okay. So I've been to 2 places in Sweden, Malmo and Oslo. You're not in Oslo, are you? That's got a university there. Oh, sorry, that's Norway. Stockholm. Sorry, I've been to Stockholm. Stockholm. Yes. So my perspective of Stockholm is going to be different from someone who lived there. I'm just a tourist coming over. But I found the people to be extremely polite, but not friendly. Not like, hey, who's this guy? We should talk to him for a bit. Like, there was not like stranger on the street friendliness there. Which is fine. I think the city I'm from is also like that, Seattle. I don't know. You ever hang out and like what's the thing that makes it so you don't relate to people that are in Stockholm? I know this is a little bit hard to do like a deep conversation over chat, but okay, so you're in a different city currently. One thing I liked about Stockholm, though, is on the street you see people walking extremely fast walkers. Like, it's like exercise walking almost, but they're dressed in like office clothes, or something kind of upscale. They didn't get into like exercise gear to go out and power walk really fast. I thought it was kind of interesting. Mediocre. I don't know. You know what? Probably anywhere you go, everyone's gonna seem kind of like mediocre. It's more like it's just work to find your people, right? It's work to find the people that you are on the same channel with. I tend to give, these days compared to when I was in my 20s, more benefit of the doubt to people that I don't really like have much interest in to begin with. Sometimes I'm surprised, but there is kind of loneliness sometimes I felt, which is I see a lot of people around me and they're not necessarily into the same things I would find interesting. They might talk at length about things that are kind of boring to me, and like if I wanted to be great friends with them, I would have to be interested in the things that were sort of boring to me, that they were into. I try to make it like not so much like the thing that's bad about them. Yeah, it's just like it's not a match, It's like if you were dating, if you were finding a romantic partner, you'd have to look through a bunch of people that just aren't right. And I think with friends and people we spend time with, even as acquaintances, it's the same problem. But we just didn't. We might not see it that way, but it is that problem too. You have to do some work to find the people that you want to be around. You have to have really shallow conversations with people to find out if they're going to be interesting. People do the same things because they don't want to be alone, or my problem is that so many do the same things because they don't want to be alone. Yeah, I think you're talking about other people doing a lot of the same things together. Like, right. Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like 98% of the world is going to be not for me. I don't know how it is for you, but it feels like that 2% that's there is findable. Sweden might be, I don't know, but like any place you go to, there's like little pockets of stuff that are cool. Even like the worst places. Sometimes, like even in like, sometimes there's like a effect where if you're in a place where like the culture is really not fitting you. 10 million people here. In the U.S., there's above 500 million. Are we above 500 million now? Jesus. I guess, yeah, that kind of makes sense. I have to check on it. But 10 million, man, that's a lot. I mean, it's not like, even if you were like living in a town and there was 100 people in it, is that math right? 10 million is less than 1,000 in Sweden? Wait. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 times 0.02. No, dude, you got 200,000. 200,000 people in Sweden. You got to be okay then. This is science we're talking here. 2%. It's Eric's number is 2% of people are going to be okay. Going to be interesting and worthwhile for you personally, but no, it's not really. You're like you say, maybe not 2%, but have you ever seen this? It's kind of an old BBC show called Blackadder. It's sort of that Monty Python style. Not seen it. Okay. Well, there's a character in it who, and it's really funny, but it's this character is the only intelligent person in this entire world, right? And a lot of like the humor comes from him being the only one that can be slightly reasonable in this entire world. Every once in a while, there's like another character that will briefly show up who will sort of be okay, but mostly it's just full of like idiots. I watched that when I was a teenager and in my early 20s, and it was extremely rewarding to me to watch it. Like it felt how I felt, that the world was kind of fucked, and I and maybe a tiny number of people were okay and could kind of see what was going on. And then later on, even though I still enjoyed that show a lot, I didn't want to have that view. Like it would be better to I don't know. I for me personally, I found it's been better to just kind of do more work in trying to discover like things about people that are worthwhile, and maybe having a few stupid conversations about the weather that aren't that enjoyable. Too self-aware. Yeah. I don't know, man. We all have like a different set of kind of social challenges to get through, and just our relationship with the world. And you know, you said a few things that reminded me of problems I had, and so like I start going on about like what was helpful for me, but it may not be helpful for you, because you could be in a different place. But yeah, I don't know. Hey, early 20s, teens, everybody seemed like a bunch of idiots to me, and then like later on I felt like maybe I was more of an idiot, or that I didn't see people properly as I had before. I was kind of putting them all in a big bland bucket of mediocrity, and I don't know. I wish you luck with that, and your fellow people in Sweden. I hope they're not as boring as you make them out to be. I'll admit, when I was in Sweden, I didn't get a chance to talk to many Swedes because they were a little bit too polite and not too friendly, in Stockholm at least. I find that like a country or city where people are rude is also where they're friendly. It's like the two things, they swap around. You either get people that do annoying, rude things, but also like stop and talk to a stranger and laugh, or you get people that are very polite. They're not going to cut you off in traffic. They're not going to say anything rude to you. No confrontation, but you'll never learn anything about each other. All right, let me see if I can. I'm going to go through this thing again. Let us begin your training. Great. North, south, east, west. You will use all these directions when you push blocks. Makes sense? To push a block north, you must stand on the south side of the block. Right. To push a block south, you must stand on the... no, this is a character called Billy, who got a points to train him about some basics. To push a block south, you must stand on the north side of the block. North side of the block. Okay, let me see if I can shorten this. Please don't interrupt. Actually, I can do please don't interrupt. Sorry. And then he keeps going. I cut out a little bit of time there. So my problem here with this character is I have to establish that he's really tedious, but as quickly as I can, I need to give the player permission to ignore this guy and just move on to solving the puzzle. And I'm doing it by making it clear that we're going to repeat some dialogue that was already said. So let me try it again. I'm going to do a stopwatch. I want to see how long it takes me to get to this point. Okay. Reset. Go. Let us begin your training. Great. North, south, east, west. You will use all of these directions when you push blocks. Makes sense? To push a block north, you must stand on the south side of the block, right? To push a block south, you must stand on the north. Please don't interrupt. Sorry. To push a block west, you must stand on the east side of the block. To push a block east, you must stand on the west side of the block. Great. Got it. Repetition is the key to learning. It is. Let's go over it again. Okay, down to 35 seconds. Titan cookies and cream chair. What? I don't know what the hell that is. My Titan cookies and cream chair. Thanks, Darky. I did do a little bit of voiceover earlier, and I ran a voiceover studio for about a year. And we had actors come in and record for different games and other things. So it's in my background. I'm not wonderful at it. The actors that I worked with were much better than me, but it's useful to be able to do it a little bit so I can test out the dialogue. Titan cookies and cream chair. I don't know what you're even talking about. Titan cookies and cream. Oh, it's a thing. Oh, you're getting like a super fancy chair is what you're getting. Jesus, what is this thing? Looks like a spaceship cockpit chair. Alright, that looks like a pretty deluxe chair. Wow. Pretty cool. No, don't read that. Okay. Okay, I'm feeling like I can get away with this here. Yeah, I like a good chair. It's a good investment for, I think, but I have found that, like, if I'm properly sitting, like, for good posture, I don't use like the back, which kind of makes a lot of chairs moot for me. But I say that, but I know that I know that, like, even just sitting here with this crappy chair that I've got, I'm like using the back, and it's yeah, a good chair is good for the back. That's true. I think if I do have a chair where I'm not trying to just kind of sit upright and not use the back, then I want the back to push forward a little bit, keep my posture good. I don't like that whole lay back in the chair thing. So yeah, you just reminded me that, like, I want to have good posture while I'm sitting in the chair. So I'm like taking my back off the back of the chair. Okay, so I think I've got something here that is probably going to work fine for that first room. So I'm going to go into the next room. Basement 6. Okay. So let's see. Yes. Right. Bill is perched again. Yeah. Yeah, I would never buy a chair or a car for something beyond its utility. In fact, I don't own a car. I've tried to arrange my life so that I don't really need to own one. Not everybody can, but I can. I live in a big walkable city with lots of rental options. But just like the idea of having like a really super nice car, just like, I don't care. I don't care. I spend my money other ways. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay, so he's perched again. I'm trying to remember that I was going to have 3 different things he was going to say. The second one, maybe this one will be okay. He had 3 things. Puzzles are too hard. Get help from other people. Yep, let me show you an example of that. Okay. So, this is a MacBook that I bought like maybe 8 years ago, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, and there was one night, I was a little bit drunk. I took a belt sander to it to make it look ugly. So it has this beautiful metal finish, and I just like took a belt sander and fucked it up. And the point of that for me is similar to what you're saying. Is that I know that's the problem. I turned into like a hipster thing. So like we have like these kind of beautiful technological things from people like Apple, and they look like art, and they're kind of cool, and then you sort of get into that mentality like, ooh, I own this little metal sculpture thing. It's part of my identity. I'm an Apple person. I love this thing. It looks neat. It's shiny. Fuck that. It's what you can do with it. It's like the stuff that you do with it. So I bought like a new iMac recently. It's a beautiful sculpture of glass and metal. But I'm still like, fuck that. Like whenever I buy something like that, there's like a debt that goes back to me immediately, which is, what will you do with this thing? Because like if I'm just like some asshole that's buying shit because I think it's cool, yeah, there's no hope for me. I suck. Matters what you do with it. So that one that's all beat up looking, I got a lot of shit done with that thing. I mean, a lot of projects with it. This other iMac that I just bought, which is like it costed the same amount as like a used car. As soon as I bought it, it's like, okay, I spent, you know, like $4,000 on this thing. That means you're an asshole unless you do great things with that machine, or not great things, but like you try, like you make shit with it. It's not there just to be pretty. So let me think. Puzzles are too hard, get help from other people. And then I had another idea, which was don't overstack. Okay, so basically whatever advice Billy gives, it's going to be kind of exactly what M should not do. Okay, so it's a bad way to make a living. So yeah, I can explain that because I've done it. I've done it two different ways. I've done it as I've had a small business where I sold a game for about 10 years, and I wasn't full-time on it, but I was like 20 hours a week, always, minimum, working on it. The game was called Drod, Deadly Rooms of Death, and there was like a number of sequels to it that my company put out. And Um, we didn't get to a point where we were making like enough money where I would just be able to pay rent with it, for example. So I would get like maybe, I think towards the end it was around like $400 a month, and there'd be spikes here and there, like where right after you release a game, where thousands of dollars would come in all at once, and those were nice. But my point is that that was a pretty good example of a competent attempt at selling games independently. But it wasn't like a self-sustaining thing. Now other people, they get a little bit luckier, make better choices, and they release a game, and they do get to that self-sustaining or better place. It's not like you can just make a game and you'll be good. Now the other way I tried it was as a professional programmer, and I worked for some years for a smaller studio. I did make a living that way. I was making other people's games, and what I found was, and this was just kind of a general rule, is that whatever skills you have in the game industry, if you take them to the non-game IT industry, you make 25 to 50% more immediately, because the game industry pays less than the other industry. So the reason is just kind of basic market effects, supply and demand. There's a bunch of people that think it would be cool to make games, and maybe it is really cool for them, but because there's so many people that want to make games, their wages go down a little bit. The conditions that they work in are a little bit shittier. Like, you hear more about people getting overworked at places like Electronic Arts, for example, because there's this churn of kind of younger coders that come into it, and they haven't really figured out what they want, but they're just sort of like, ooh, cool, I get to work on games, and they get exploited, more or less. Some of them wouldn't say they're exploited, because it's their briar patch, it's where they want to be. But if you just take the same skills and you walk across the street to Facebook, Amazon, it doesn't have to even be a big name place, but just some place that just hires for a software engineer, you make more money immediately. The indie, and the other way, the indie game route is just, it's hard. It's really hard. There's a lot of failures, and there's people like me who actually did a pretty good job of getting the game out, but it didn't pay the bills. So right now I've got a regular day job that's non-game industry that pays me very well, very well, and then I moonlight on the game stuff, and it works well for me now. That's my take for about 20 years of fucking around with it. Alright, let me see. In these cases, you should get help from someone more experienced. Yeah, sure. Thanks for giving me a chance to be a big fucking expert. It's always fun to go blah 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 blah. This is what I know. This is what I know. So let's see. Don't try to do everything yourself. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So I want M to be amenable to what he's saying. Yeah, I don't know. Game industry kind of sucks. Now, making games on your own time, maybe here and there, like if you're not depending on the income, getting it out into the world, I think that's pretty cool. I mean, games are fun, but the game industry sucks. That's basically how to sum up everything I said in like one sentence. Games are fun. Game industry sucks. That's it. I would, except that my other iMac that it's on broke. That's one of the reasons why I haven't like switched over to game mode. So I got to take that iMac into the fucking Apple Store. I hate the Apple Store. I've got an appointment to do it, so I can't show the game or demo the game without a lot of screwing around to get it going on this other machine. But yeah. Thanks for asking, though. I'm gonna knock off in a few minutes and go get some lunch. So let me try this one. Sometimes the solution you need is too difficult to find on your own. You are very junior, very new. We don't expect you to know how to deal with complicated arrangements of blocks. This one doesn't look complicated. No. This is very advanced. Okay? Don't try to do everything yourself. Right. Get help from more experienced people like me. Boogie 2988. What? Alright. Dropping the references on me, buddy. Let me see. Boogie 2988. No, not Booby. Boogie 2998. Oh, it's like a streamer? Alright, let me see what I got here.
What's up? Ladies and gentlemen, YouTube, Boogie 2988 coming at you live again to the power of the internet. This is just a welcome video. Welcome to my channel. Now, you may not recognize me right away. You might recognize the background, but you may not recognize me, and that's because I used to look like this. But now I look like this.
Wow!
And one day I'll look like this. But if you're watching this video, you probably clicked on the channel page to learn more about me. So here's a little bit more about my channel.
I just
this is very much an old school.
So there's a problem. Like if I take somebody else's YouTube video and show it on the thing that I'm streaming, and then I do my later export to YouTube, they can flag it, and I don't want to get in like trouble that way. But okay, I will kind of maybe look that guy up a little bit later. He did seem kind of funny. All right, Billy. I don't think so. I don't think you can. But it's okay. But Alright, Darky. I'll catch you later. Actually, let's both go at the same time, because I gotta get something to eat. Stopping the stream. Darky and Eric stream. Stopping it right now. Stopping it, stopping it, stopping it.